formal title, I'm an aspiring cult leader. I'm going to tell you about my cult today. It is the cult of energy and atoms, so hopefully that excites you. Nothing I tell you is financial advice. Do your own research, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, how's everyone feeling? First Sui conference. Everyone looks beautiful. The lighting in here is really flattering, so I like that. Okay, so today we're going to talk for about 25 minutes. We're going to go fast. I have a lot of charts. I have a lot of data. I have a lot of things to kind of plant in your brain. So let's get into it. So infrastructure, everybody loves it. What is it? Who knows what infrastructure is? Anyone? Okay, some people. I'm very confused. The word gets thrown a lot, but when we say infrastructure, what do we mean? What I mean when I talk about infrastructure, it's the physical, digital, and social structures and facilities that we need to operate a society, right? So there's the meme, like, we live in a society. Everyone knows that meme? Yes? Okay. It's a little, you guys are a little slow this morning. I'm gonna need more energy back. So we live in a society. It isn't just about blockchain protocols and software and digital tooling. Like, we actually need power plants and water treatment plants. We need roads. We need civil institutions. We have laws. We have all of these aspects of infrastructure that make up the world we live in, that make it possible for us all to be here in Paris enjoying this conference. So when we talk about infrastructure in crypto, we usually are talking about a very, very narrow slice of what I would consider this broader infrastructure landscape. So why is infrastructure exciting? I like big numbers. In crypto, we love to throw around numbers. Here's a big number. $100 trillion of infrastructure investment will be needed by the year 2040 to make it possible for us to live in a society, for us to enjoy roads, for us to enjoy digital infrastructure, connectivity, for us to have all of these things that we need to live in this world that we've grown accustomed to. So where is this $100 trillion going to come from? Not these people, they're broke. No, actually, though, they're broke. So who's funding this $100 trillion of infrastructure? We got cash money. Crypto is cashed up, baby. So we have long relied on these institutions, right, these governments, to fund infrastructure. But we now have a new set of players emerging. I think corporation states are sort of on the rise. And when I say corporation state, what I'm talking about, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, these companies have larger market caps, have more annual revenue than the GDP of most economies. That is an astounding fact. That is an astounding trend. They create their own policies. They employ hundreds of thousands of people. These corporation states, I think, are becoming incredibly powerful forces, and they are building their own infrastructure. They are building their own small-scale cities, their own power plants, their own data centers, their own data infrastructure. We have metaverses. How many people here play Roblox or Fortnite? I'm too old. I was a Call of Duty girl. That was the era of my life. Oh, hey, I see you guys back there. Okay. But there are these metaverses emerging where millions of people are spending hours and hours of their lives. And then we have our world, the world of crypto, Bitcoin and public blockchain protocols. They're effectively decentralized digital states, right? And if you listen to Balaji talk about this idea of network states, or if you look at the way, Bitcoin has an army. We always talk about, okay, in order to have a nation state, you need an army and you need a currency. Guess what? Bitcoin is a currency. We have an army. It's called crypto Twitter. It's a pretty effective army. So the world is getting very interesting. And I just want to touch briefly on something I think we don't appreciate in the world of cryptos. When I started my career in the late 2000s, early 2010s, the largest company in the world at the time was ExxonMobil, and I worked there. ExxonMobil at the time had a $400 billion market cap, largest company in the world. Today, $400 billion doesn't even get you in the top 20 largest corporations in the world. That is how quickly the world has changed, and the players have changed. Technology has radically reshaped the allocation of capital and distribution of wealth over the last decade and some change. So if we look on the left-hand side, right, the companies that were large and really influential a decade ago were ExxonMobil, PetroChina, HSBC, Petrobras. They were companies that made physical things, that dealt in the world of energy and atoms. If you look at the companies now that are largest companies in the world, they're software companies. They're companies that don't necessarily own or operate physical infrastructure. They depend on energy and atoms. They are net capex payers. They are buyers of energy and atoms, but they themselves, their currency is digital products and services, with the exception now of NVIDIA and TSMC, and we'll get into the SPICE, the semiconductors. But I think this is really interesting. And then the multiple accretion here. We went from collective $2 trillion of market cap, 15 years later, $16 trillion. That's an 8x growth in multiple. That's a huge amount of wealth creation, and it's all driven by this technology, this digital infrastructure, this digital architecture that's being created. We also have a new trend, the rise of the machines, right? We live in a time, I see you guys laughing. Some of you might recognize some of the images on here. We see the rise of the machines, right? We live in this age where everyone's talking about AI, but I don't think we're necessarily talking about agents and the interactions we're going to have with machines. And as intelligent machines proliferate, so does the need for technology and infrastructure that enables this machine economy. So what you see here from left to right, a robot from Boston Dynamics. If anyone's seen these robots, they're absolutely incredible, have incredible mobility. They're being used by Amazon and some others, but it's incredible what they can do. In the middle, since we're in Paris, I had to include some couture fashion. It's the robot baby from the last Schiaparelli runway show. Then you see real dolls, sex dolls, AI companions, growing category. I think that's going to be a huge category. And then robot servers in restaurants. This is at a Dutch restaurant. But as you walk around, you see different robots we interact with. They need currency. They need energy. They need computation. They're going to have their own wallets, their own identities. So how are we going to build infrastructure to support not only billions of humans, but billions, potentially trillions of machines? Interesting question. All right, so Evan talked about speculation and greed. Evan and I met some time ago, and we had a fun debate. We have radically different perspectives on the role of greed and speculation in the crypto ecosystem. I am a big fan of the Sky Casino. I trade my dog coins and my frog coins and my meme coins in the Sky Casino, and I believe that speculation is the fuel that makes the future possible. So who here is a fan of the Sky Casino? Hell yes. Okay, if you're not a fan of the Sky Casino, I hope to convince you that the Sky Casino is socially good and adds a lot of value to the crypto ecosystem and the world at large. If you disagree, come find me, we can debate about it. So how do you actually invest in the future? This is an important question. I'm an investor, and I ask myself this question all the time. Speculation is how you invest in the future. It is a tool that allows us to reason about the future in probabilities, right? So speculation is a low computation way of dealing with uncertainty. I can't predict the future, but I can place strategic bets that allow me to benefit from a wide range of potential outcomes, and I can assign probabilities to those outcomes and size my bets accordingly. So a less sophisticated way of saying that, bet more. Why should we be betting more? The data supports the thesis here. If we look at stock market capitalization to GDP over the last 50 years, this is an incredible chart. If you're not gambling, you need to be gambling like right now. This chart basically tells you that. The returns to capital have vastly outpaced the returns to labor. And in the last decade alone, we've seen almost a tripling of stock market capitalization to GDP. Our speculative economy, the paper value of the companies in the US economy, are growing faster than the actual economic output of the economy. There's been a rapid expansion of the money supply thanks to quantitative easing. Debt has doubled, low interest rates. So rational person, right, using your capital to speculate on the future is the smartest way to deploy your capital. That's why we love crypto. Crypto makes it really easy for us to do that because all you need is an internet connection. It's a beautiful thing. You don't need an identity, you don't need a bank account, you just need an internet connection, the ability to click buttons. It's nice. Okay, Technological Revolutions and Financial Bubbles. Has anyone read this book by Carlotta Perez? If not, 70 pages, highly recommend. It's teeny tiny, but it will basically help you get better at predicting the future because we've done this again and again and again. This is the history of the economy. This is the history of human progress. We see the emergence of a new technology, frenzy of funding. This is like 2017 in crypto. Then prices crash. Everyone's like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't actually real. A lot of this is vaporware. Then people start building. People always talk about like, oh, we're building. A bear is a great time to build. Then we actually start to see this paper value we've created, the speculative value coupled with the production value, and then the industry matures. We've done this cycle a few times in crypto. We're going to do it probably a dozen more times before we get to maturity. I think this is really exciting. If you like to invest, if you like technology, great book to read. And the markets are in the machine. Over the last decade, I think this is so profound and we don't talk about it enough. Over the last decade, this group of people who are interested in crypto, who've spent time in sort of the world of crypto, we've memed a digitally native global reserve currency into existence. It's called Bitcoin. That's incredible. We built a global network of liquidity that any person or machine with an internet connection can access 24/7, 365 without needing permission from anyone. We have quite literally built unstoppable markets. That is a profound accomplishment. It's also incredibly, incredibly scary. So the story for me is simple. Whatever is illiquid will become liquid. Whatever can be bet on will have markets where we will bet and where we will speculate. And whatever is centralized will be decentralized. So given all this information I've just given you, what are we going to do with it? I will tell you. We're going to build this new finance stack. We're building infrastructure. We're building networking architecture and application layer. So what you see here is what we talk about in crypto when we talk about infrastructure is this. We're talking about settlement and consensus and the ability to create and write smart contracts, right? So this is crypto equivalent of infrastructure. We have a networking layer, which often involves actual physical infrastructure, but this is the CapEx layer or the capital expenditure layer of crypto, where you actually need capital to provide economic security for this infrastructure. And then on top of that capital-intensive networking architecture, we build applications. And here there are a ton of new products and services that are emerging, but you need a services layer, this operational logic. You have performance optimization, and then you have governance, right? How do we govern these new protocols? How do we govern these markets? How do we create rules? How do we rewrite those rules? How do we revisit those rules? How do we upgrade these systems? But this is kind of the new infrastructure stack that we're focused on here in this room. The other thing that's really cool that I also want to touch on is one of the things we've done with crypto that, again, we don't talk about enough. We've basically been able to assign a price to secure financial computation. Historically, you've never really thought about, okay, what am I willing to pay for financial computation? Your bank or your underlying financial service provider does that. In Bitcoin, we did this incredible thing. It's called block space, and you have to pay for it. I am firmly of the belief that if you have a blockchain protocol and people are not willing to pay for block space, you will not be able to persist as a protocol. You need to have people who are willing to pay for secure financial computation, i.e. block space. And that is the thing that Bitcoin has proven out so well. Bitcoin has built a dedicated $100 billion hardware and data center economy that has been, by the way, a massive boom for the AI space. A lot of the innovations being used in AI data center financing models come directly from the last decade of innovation in the Bitcoin space. Bitcoin has been one of the largest capital expenditure investment drivers across tech, full stop. Ethereum then extended this concept by introducing pricing and markets for secure smart contracts, right? And these new L1 protocols like Sui that are emerging are giving us new models for pricing different types of computation. So I think this is very exciting. Anytime we have an open market where we're pricing different types of computation, we can start to create speculative markets. I come from the world of commodities trading. We love a good derivative. So just wait till we start trading block space derivatives and financializing and speculating on this whole stack. And there's a much bigger opportunity at stake. Crypto is a teeny tiny market, but as we look at the global world of assets, right, in my view, public blockchain networks are going to be the backbone that all of these other asset classes are built on, traded on, speculated on. Are you with me? Are you excited about this future? Yes? Okay. I'm excited about this future. So here's my take as an investor. You can never escape the laws of physics. We have laws that govern our real observable universe, and they're pretty simple laws. We have yet to create a perpetual motion machine, although people keep working on it. Gives me great hope. But I'm very excited about this intersection of what we're doing in crypto, these unstoppable on-chain markets, this ability to create markets for anything and everything, and coupling that with the need for actual energy and atoms in our world. So it's a weird thesis. It's something we don't talk about a lot, but hopefully by the end of this, you will understand that it's the most obvious thing in the world, and it's going to be incredibly powerful. So bits and bytes require atoms. So this is what's interesting. Who here is familiar with the OSINT model? All right, let's go. Networking nerds. Yeah, I see you guys. Okay, so the OSINT model is a model basically for networking, communication between the hardware layer, the networking layer, and the software layer that makes telecommunications possible. So basically, whenever you want to send data, right, or transmit data, you put it in an application. The application takes in that data. It's then presented in the right way. It's translated, encrypted, compressed. Then a session is initiated that establishes a connection. Then there's a transport layer, right? That's these open source protocols where your data packets get transmitted. And then there's an actual whole physical infrastructure layer, right? When I send you a text message, you don't think about where that packet's going, but there's just a whole vast network of global physical infrastructure. There's physical pathways that get sort of routed through, there's a data link, and then there's a raw bit stream that actually travels over a wire or a medium. This is the OSINT model, exists for telecommunications. For this digitally native future to exist, we're going to need all of these different sort of open source models that connect the hardware layer, the networking layer, and the software layer for different types of digital commodities, I call them, whether that's energy, whether that's storage, whether that's bandwidth. All of these things are going to require these models for how we build hardware, networking, and software layers that allow these stacks to basically exist and to be composable and modular. We talk about composability and modularity a lot in crypto. I think composability and modularity are also going to be a dominant force in the world of physical infrastructure, just given the fundamental security risk, the threats we see emerging from nation-state and non-nation-state actors, and the intense CapEx-intensive costs of building out physical infrastructure. So I'm very excited about the OSINT model and sort of thinking about it as a framework for how we actually start to bring open source software, open source protocols, tooling to this world of energy and atoms that has typically felt very monolithic and very challenging to innovate in. Sorry, we're nerding out a little bit. We're going to go back to the fun stuff now. So what I want to do, what I'm working on, excited about, is I want to invest in making the future possible. What's my view of making the future possible? We need a lot of energy. We need a lot of compute. And the way we capitalize it is through cryptocurrency. And then underneath it all, we need a new capital market and a new layer of financial engineering that allows us to fuel this economy that we need to make the rise of the machines and this new digital age we talk about possible. Requires a lot of money. So this is what I'm excited about. Let's break it down really quickly. More technology means more energy. We talk a lot about using less energy. No. We need to use more energy. We have a nuclear fission reactor in the sky. It's called the sun. It provides a nearly limitless amount of energy. And if we look at energy consumption, on the right here, you have Google's energy consumption. It grows exponentially every year. What's crazy, AWS consumes roughly 2% of US electricity generation. Amazon is considered an ESG stock. It is a publicly listed company. It has never once published data on its energy usage. I would love for someone to explain to me how that is possible. But the tech sector uses a lot of energy, and despite all of the talk about renewables, the source is primarily fossil fuels. It's gas and it's coal. A digital world requires a lot more energy, but our energy technology and systems have not evolved enough to utilize abundant, dense, low emissions energy sources at scale. So what do we need to do? We need to develop new models for energy and fund them through crypto. So new energy sources, does anyone know what this image is under new energy sources? No, that's the Oklo powerhouse. Oklo is a company that is building these 1 megawatt nuclear small modular reactors. They're using spent uranium from commercial nuclear plants, and they're going public this year. They have their first approval to install one of these powerhouses. I would love to get one in my backyard. You can power about 100 homes or a 2 to 3 megawatt data center with one. But we need new energy sources, whether that's nuclear, whether that's solar, whether that's batteries for storage, very important. Virtual power plants and DPINs, decentralized physical infrastructure networks. You've heard about them. You're going to continue to hear about them a lot. But putting more batteries on the grid and starting to actually build out these distributed energy grids, I think is a huge opportunity. And then energy resource management and grid management tools. What if you had a meter in your home that allowed you to cycle power usage? Bitcoin mines already do this. They're last mile consumers of power, so they're optimizing cost. But there's all of these new models for energy that are being created, and a lot of them can benefit from using token incentivized model or using tokens to capitalize their development. That's energy, very exciting. Exponential demand for compute and connectivity. So we ship a shitload of semiconductors. They're not all high-end semiconductors. Actually, the low-end components are incredibly important as well. And also, mobile data traffic doubles every year. So we need more chips and we need more connectivity. And our current computing and networking infrastructure is just not growing quickly enough to support anything resembling a functional metaverse, right? Has anyone put on the Apple VR headset? Yeah, it's super cool, right? But the amount of computation needed to deliver that experience is something we're just fundamentally incapable of delivering at scale with our existing compute and connectivity infrastructure today. So we need new models for compute and connectivity. New types of semiconductors. There's a lot of companies in the crypto space, actually, that are focusing on photonics. So instead of doing transistor-based computing, they're doing optical or light-based computing. There's a lot of talk about now biocomputing, if anyone's looked at extropic AI. Very cool. Okay, I'm nerding out now. Local networks, Althea and other Helium, right? These connectivity providers that are building models for basically using a token to bootstrap hardware to build new connectivity networks. And then distributed compute. What you see here is a Crusoe data center. This is a Bitcoin mine, but Crusoe is now expanding into the GPU space as well and providing compute for AI, co-locating with an oil and gas exploration and production well, so you can basically go directly from the wellhead to the data center. But upgrading these data centers and this networking infrastructure is going to cost trillions of dollars. We're going to need to overcome some physical limits through R&D. The funding's not really available for this, so who's going to fund it? I think we should fund it, crypto. Let's use crypto incentives and token incentives to fund the development and growth of this infrastructure. And then last but not least, let's talk about Bitcoin. I know this is a Sui conference, but I think Bitcoin kind of paved the way, and we can learn a lot from Bitcoin. Bitcoin started in the realm of finance, but it's actually an innovation in compute and connectivity and energy. And I think Bitcoin has given us really interesting lessons about cybersecurity and has fundamental implications for the military-industrial complex. So I think we need to look beyond crypto as just an investment category and more as a catalyst to fuel new types of commerce, but also to fuel an energy revolution, a telecommunications revolution, and a computing revolution. We've already done it. Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Bitcoin, $100 billion dedicated hardware and data center economy. Ethereum, single-handedly responsible for the rise of NVIDIA. We don't talk about this. 2017, Ethereum resulted in most of NVIDIA's profits. NVIDIA is now close to being one of the largest companies in the world. The demand for GPUs from Ethereum miners has dramatically altered the trajectory for that company. And so I think we've done this before. We're going to do it again and again and again and again. We're not just going to fund crypto infrastructure, crypto protocols. I want us to actually start bending the arc of our physical reality using what we've learned in crypto. That's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm working on. I'm doing it with a few different ecosystems. So here's what the next decade's going to look like. The 2010s were about energy, industrials, and banking. This decade is about digital services, semis, and energy. And I think the next decade is going to be about energy, compute and connectivity, digital currency, nation states, companies, new ecosystems like the ones we're building in crypto are going to spend trillions of dollars, 100 trillion to be precise, on R&D, IP, and physical infrastructure needed to secure their data and access to global blockchain networks. So let's invest in it. The future is going to be wild. I said to Evan earlier, when Sui hits 100 billion in market cap, we need to get one of these. What is this? Does anyone know? Ideas? If anyone has read Snow Crash is becoming real life. This is a data center ship that Google is building. We're going to see a lot more of this. We're going to do computation on satellites in outer space. We're going to float these things in international maritime zones where there are no laws that apply. That's a strategy that's been used in the torrenting space, if anyone recalls how the Pirate Bay moved their servers around. But we're going to see a lot more interesting innovation. I don't see any reason why we, as people in the crypto ecosystem, should not be funding it, participating in it, and help shaping it. So if that's exciting to you, here's my contact information. I know most people don't give out their contact information. I am chronically online. You can find me on Twitter. This will connect you to my email, my Telegram. Give me a shout if you're working on this, if you want to work on this, if you want to talk about it, if you want to invest in it. Come find me. The cult of energy and atoms is coming. I'm excited to work with you on making it a reality, and let's invest in some infrastructure. Thank you.